Hello everyone, this is RHS Prasad, lecturer in chemistry, VSM College, Ramachandrapuram. In this video, we are going to discuss about analysis of fluorspar. Generally, fluorspar is the most commonly used neutral flux. It is added to increase the fluidity of the slags without changing their properties like acidity, basicity, or oxidizing properties. It mainly contains calcium fluoride. So, what is the introduction to fluorspar? It is commonly used neutral flux. So, neutral flux means it cannot change the properties of the slags. It mainly contains calcium fluoride in it. You can observe a picture of fluorspar here. Okay. So if you wanted to analyze the fluorspar, you need to determine all these constituents like silica, phosphorus pentoxide, ferric oxide, alumina, calcium fluoride, magnesium fluoride, calcium carbonate, and magnesium carbonate. So, let us discuss about first the determination of silica. As you know very well, if you wanted to analyze silica, we can use the gravimetric method. So, for the determination of silica, take 0.5 gram of sample in a beaker. To that, add 10 ml of 1.5 normal acetic acid solution. Then cover the beaker and heat it on a water bath for 1 hour. It is only for the dissolution of the sample. Then evaporate to dryness and bake it for 30 minutes. Then dilute it with water. Then boil and filter. Why? Because we know very well silica will not be dissolved. Okay. So the residue consists of not only silica, it also contains calcium fluoride and basic ferric acetate and silica also. So we need to ignite the filter paper with the residue in a platinum crucible, then cool and weigh. As you know very well, the residue contains this calcium fluoride and ferric acetate also along with silica. But our intention is only to determine silica. అవును కదా, మనం ఓన్లీ సిలికాన్ డిటర్మైన్ చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాం. బట్ సిలికాతో పాటు ఆ రెసిడ్యూలో ఏమేమి ఉన్నాయి? కాల్షియం ఫ్లోరైడ్ ఉంది, అలాగే ఫెర్రిక్ ఎసిటేట్ ఉంది. అందుకని ఓన్లీ సిలికాన్ డిటర్మైన్ చేయడానికి ఏం చేస్తామంటే వీ నీడ్ టు యాడ్ 2 to 3 ml ఆఫ్ హెచ్ఎఫ్ అండ్ ఎవాపరేట్ టు ఎక్స్పెల్ సిలికా. సో అక్కడ సిలికా ఎలా ఎక్స్పెల్ అవుతుంది అని అంటే SiO2 హెచ్ఎఫ్తో రియాక్ట్ అయ్యి ఇట్ కెన్ ప్రొడ్యూస్ SiF4. జనరలీ దిస్ SiF4 హ్యాజ్ వాలటిలిటీ నేచర్. సో SiO2 ఎలా కన్వర్ట్ అయిపోయింది? SiF4గా కన్వర్ట్ అయిపోయింది. సో లాస్ ఇన్ వెయిట్ ఆఫ్ ద sample, that is loss in weight of the residue will give the weight of silica. So for the determination of silica, what should you do? Take the sample, add acetic acid and then dissolve it, Then the residue contains calcium fluoride, basic ferric acetate, and silica. So ignite it in a platinum crucible, then add HF and evaporate to expel silica. Then loss in weight of the residue will give the weight of silica which is present in the sample. Then we can calculate it. Next, determination of phosphorus pentoxide. So after the determination of silica, take the residue which is left in the crucible, then add 2 to 3 ml of concentrated H2SO4 and heat it on the hot plate to expel HF. Why? Because we already added HF here. So to expel HF, we need to heat it on the hot plate. After that, fuse the dry residue with sodium carbonate. You need to use the fusion technique. Fusion mixture is sodium carbonate. Then extract it with water and dilute HNO3. After that, transfer the solution into a 250 ml measuring flask, that is standard volumetric flask, and make up to the mark with distilled water. Then pipette out 25 ml of the solution obtained. Then add 15 ml HNO3, then heat to 70 degrees Celsius. Then add KMnO4 to this. Next, add ammonium nitromolybdate solution. Whenever you add ammonium nitromolybdate solution, then because of the addition of all these constituents, that is like HNO3, then phosphorus will be converted into phosphate form. So that phosphate will react with ammonium nitromolybdate to produce ammonium phosphomolybdate precipitate. Then filter the precipitate. To the precipitate, add measured excess of standard NaOH solution. Then back titrate the unreacted NaOH with standard HNO3 solution by using phenolphthalein indicator. So you can calculate the percentage of P2O5 which is present in the sample. So just recall it. For the determination of P2O5, what should you do? Take the residue left in the crucible after the determination of silica, add H2SO4 to and heat it on the hot plate to expel HF. Fusion technique by using the fusion mixture sodium carbonate, dilute it with water. Take 25 ml of this solution, add HNO3 and KMnO4 and the reagent ammonium nitromolybdate to produce ammonium phosphomolybdate. So dissolve the ammonium phosphomolybdate precipitate in excess NaOH solution. Then back titrate the excess NaOH by using standard HNO3 solution. Next, determination of ferric oxide. So for the determination of ferric oxide, we need to take 100 ml of the sample solution, then add 10 ml H2SO4 and heat to fuming, then dilute it to 150 ml water. After that, add tartaric acid, make the solution alkaline with ammonium hydroxide solution and pass H2S gas. Then automatically what happens is the iron which is present in the solution will form precipitate with H2S to produce uh, iron sulfide precipitate. So filter the residue, wash with H2S water, dried and ignite it in a porcelain crucible. Whenever you ignite it, then the iron sulfide will be converted into Fe2O3. So you can you can calculate the percentage of Fe2O3 by using the formula. Next, determination of alumina. Just take 100 ml of the solution in a beaker, then add small amounts of ammonium carbonate until it forms the precipitate. So after that add acetic acid and 10 to 15 ml saturated ammonium acetate solution and boil it for 1 or 2 minutes. Then uh, because of the impurities, the filtrate will not be a colorless filtrate. So it indicates it contains some impurities in it. So that is the reason why re-dissolve the precipitate in HCl and repeat the precipitation as before. Means take the solution, add ammonium carbonate solution, next add acetic acid, saturated ammonium acetate, and boil it 1 or 2 minutes only. Okay, then it can produce the precipitate. So ignite the filter paper with the residue in a porcelain crucible. Then we can weigh it as a mixture of oxides, that is ferric oxide, aluminum oxide, and phosphorus pentoxide. So whenever you add ammonium carbonate and ammonium acetate, then the third group elements will be precipitated out. Then after ignition, you can get the precipitate, that is the combination of iron, aluminum, and phosphorus oxides. So percentage of aluminum equal to the formula percentage of this one minus percentage of Fe2O3, as we discussed earlier in this slide. So and determination of P2O5. So you know the percentage of P2O5 here and percentage of Fe2O3 here. So you know this value, and here you can get this value, so that the percentage of alumina can be obtained by the subtraction of these two values. Okay, so this is the uh, procedure to determine alumina present in this sample. Next, determination of calcium fluoride. Try to observe either calcium fluoride or calcium oxide or calcium carbonate. The procedure is same, but the calculation is different. Okay, for lime determination, or for calcium fluoride determination, or for calcium carbonate determination, okay, all are calcium contents. So for these the procedures are same, but the calculation is different. Okay, right, so keep it in mind. Right, now same way for magnesium also. Magnesium fluoride determination, magnesia determination, magnesium carbonate determination. Procedures are same, but the calculation varies. Okay, right. So determination of calcium fluoride. For the determination of calcium fluoride, we need to take the filtrate obtained after the removal of the interferences like silica, iron, alumina. To that filtrate, add ammonium oxalate. Then it is digested for 20 minutes by maintaining the solution alkaline with ammonium hydroxide. Then a precipitate of calcium oxalate is formed. Then we need to filter the precipitate, wash the precipitate with hot water. Then if the filtrate is automatically filtrate is present, that filtrate is used for the determination of magnesia, that is magnesium fluoride or magnesia or magnesium carbonate, whatever. So our intention is calcium oxalate to determine calcium fluoride. So the precipitate of calcium oxalate is used to determine calcium fluoride either by gravimetric method or volumetric method. If you go for gravimetric method, then the precipitate of calcium oxalate is washed with water, then it is ignited at 800 degrees Celsius or 1200 degrees Celsius. If it is ignited at 800 degrees Celsius temperature, then calcium oxalate will lose 1 mole of carbon dioxide to produce calcium carbonate. If you use high temperature, that is 1200 degrees Celsius temperature for the ignition process, then calcium oxalate will lose 2 moles of carbon dioxide to produce calcium oxide. So here you need to calculate the calcium fluoride by using the factor. Okay, right. Next, if you go for volumetric method for the determination of calcium fluoride, take the precipitate of calcium oxalate and dissolve it in dilute H2SO4 solution. Then heat it for few minutes. Then titrate it against KMnO4 solution until it gets pale pink color endpoint. Okay, right. So this is the way to determine calcium fluoride. So just the calculation is different. Okay, right. Now determination of magnesium fluoride. Here also. So gravimetric method used for the determination of magnesium fluoride. Just conversion of magnesium into magnesium phosphate, after that magnesium pyrophosphate. So take the filtrate obtained after the determination of calcium fluoride, then acidify it with HCl solution, add ammonium hydroxide and diammonium phosphate solution. Then magnesia which is present in the sample will be precipitated as magnesium ammonium phosphate. Then it is filtered, dried and ignited at 1000 degrees Celsius temperature. Then the magnesium ammonium phosphate will be converted into magnesium pyrophosphate, that is Mg2P2O7. So after that, by using this we can calculate the magnesium fluoride, that is MgF2, which is present in the sample of fluorspar. Next, determination of CaCO3 and MgCO3. As we discussed earlier, the procedures are same as for calcium fluoride and magnesium fluoride, but the calculation is for CaCO3 and MgCO3. Okay. Uh, Let me give you one example. If it is percentage of CaF2 calculation, then we got weight of CaO. So weight of CaO by weight of sample into molecular weight of CaF2 by molecular weight of CaO. If it is calculation of CaF2. If it is for calculation of CaCO3, then molecular weight of CaCO3 by CaO. Is it clear? Same way magnesium fluoride and magnesium carbonate also. So calculation is different. Okay. So this is the information related to the analysis of fluorspar. So assignment question: explain the process for the determination of calcium fluoride and magnesium fluoride in fluorspar. Okay. Just recall it. Analysis of fluorspar. So for the analysis, we need to determine all these constituents. So determination of silica by using gravimetric method, determination of phosphorus pentoxide by using this volumetric method after conversion of phosphorus into ammonium phosphomolybdate solution, phosphomolybdate. Then you need to dissolve the precipitate and titrate it against HNO3. So determination of Fe2O3, it is also gravimetric method. So here FeS will be precipitated, after that ignite it as Fe2O3. Next, determination of alumina. So in this you need to add ammonium carbonate and saturated ammonium acetate, then it can produce combined precipitate. After ignition, you can get the combination of oxides. They are Fe2O3, Al2O3, and P2O5. So that you have this percentage, and you have percentage of Fe2O3 and percentage of P2O5 individually. So the subtraction of these two will give the percentage of alumina. Okay, next determination of CaF2. So it is, you can use either gravimetric method or volumetric method. So if it is gravimetric method, take the calcium oxide precipitate, ignite it at either 800 degrees Celsius or 1200 degrees Celsius. Then calculate it for calcium fluoride. If it is volumetry, just dissolve the calcium oxide in dilute H2SO4 and titrate it against KMnO4 solution. And if you go for determination of magnesium fluoride, you can use gravimetric method, that is pyrophosphate method, means ignition as magnesium pyrophosphate. So take the filtrate obtained after the determination of calcium fluoride, then add ammonium hydroxide and diammonium phosphate. Then automatically magnesium can produce magnesium ammonium phosphate. Then if you ignite it at 1000 degrees Celsius, then it can produce magnesium pyrophosphate. So you can determine calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate also, same as the procedures for calcium fluoride and magnesium fluoride, but the calculation is different. Okay, thank you for your kind attention.